There we go. And we are live. Welcome, everyone, to the Wrestleview Impact Wrestling Rebellion pay-per-view live post show. Say that 10 times fast. What a pay-per-view tonight. Impact put on a great show tonight. The crowd in New York was hot. It was a sold-out venue. They were wild all night. They were screaming all night. They were cheering all night. So we thank those of you that are joining us tonight here on our post show to talk about Impact Wrestling's Rebellion pay-per-view. So we will start off the show tonight with the first match. As we're going to run down the matches tonight. There were lots of matches. There were some surprises tonight. Not big surprises, but some title changes that we didn't expect. So on the free countdown show, the Inspiration did not win the Knockouts tag titles from Tennille Dashwood or Madison Rayne. They retained. And then we had Eddie Edwards defeat Chris Bay. That was on the post show. But we're going to start off tonight with the main card, of course. So Jay White, Chris Sabin, and Steve Macklin started us off tonight on the show. And the crowd was hot for this opening match. Chris Sabin did some crazy stunts tonight. He did a lot of crazy stuff in the ring, a lot of crazy stuff out of the ring. Jay White did a lot of crazy stuff in the ring and out of the ring. And Steve Macklin, who had his face painted tonight, did a lot of crazy stuff as well. This match was all over the place. There was a lot of action. All three men put on a show. It was a good opener to get the crowd going tonight in New York. They were at the Old Mid-Hudson Civic Center, and it was wild to start off with. There was a lot of "this is awesome" chants going on during this opening matchup, a lot of near falls. There were times that I thought Jay White was going to win. There were times I thought Chris Sabin was going to win because both men were coming back and forth with offense. But surprisingly, Jay White didn't pin Chris Sabin. Chris Sabin didn't pin Jay White. It was Steve Macklin that ended up pinning Chris Sabin to get the win on the match, which surprised me. I didn't expect Steve Macklin to go over. I would have thought because Bullet Club's getting a push right now in Impact Wrestling, I thought that for certain Jay White was actually going to go over. And with Forbidden Door pay-per-view next month, not next month, but in June, that AEW, New Japan Pro Wrestling, are going to do in Chicago. I thought for certain that Jay White was going to win, leading up to that and for the hype for that, but he did not. Be that as it may, it was a good match. I enjoyed it. I like the action. I'm not a big fan of Jay White. I'm not a big fan of Steve Macklin. Chris Sabin, of course, goes way back into the Motor City Machine Gun days and Ring of Honor and in then TNA Wrestling. But for whatever reason, they had Steve Macklin go over. But overall, I thought it was a good match. And it was a good starter to get the crowd hot and get them going. So, Gabby, your turn. What did you think?
It was a little bit predictable with Steve Macklin winning. Because, he did come out of nowhere to pin Chris Sabin, but I'm like, he's going to do this, and then he's going to do that. He's going to do this, and then he's going to do that. I kind of halfway through the match, I kind of figured it out.
Yeah. So it's predictable for you.
It was a decent match. But yes, it was predictable.
I had to mute you for a moment, Gabby. We're a little bit garbled on my end, so I don't know if it was garbled to the others that are out there listening, but we'll mute you and then unmute you and see what happens here. Sorry about that. Let's get you unmuted here. A little bit of a technical glitch. Sorry about that. Okay, so The next match we moved on to was Deonna Purrazzo, who was defending the Reina de Reinas. I hope I pronounced that correctly. Championship title, which is basically it's the AAA Women's World Championship, and she defended that against the returning Taya Valkyrie, who left the company, went to NXT, WWE NXT as Frankie Monet, and wasn't there very long. She was released last November, and then she ended up on the independent scene, and then ended up showing up on April 1 at the multi-universe of matches that Impact did that weekend, and confronted Deonna Purrazzo in the ring. And Deonna Purrazzo is currently the Ring of Honor Women's World Champion, and Mercedes Martinez is the interim right now. So how that's going to work with Tony Khan owning Ring of Honor. There was Ring of Honor references tonight with Deonna Purrazzo. Tony Khan's name was not mentioned during the pay-per-view, but Tom Hannafin, a.k.a. Tom Phillips, mentioned Ring of Honor several times during the matchup. And Taya was clearly the baby face in this match. She usually has been the heel. She's the longest reigning Knockouts champion in Impact Wrestling, having held that title 377 recognized days before she dropped it and left to go to NXT. So Taya was clearly the baby face. The crowd was behind her. And I didn't think that Taya was going to win, because I don't know if she's under contract to Impact or if it's a pay-per appearance. But the way it was made tonight with Tom Hannafin, it sounded like she might be under contract. But be that as it may, this was a surprise title change tonight. Taya Valkyrie is your new AAA Women's World Champion. Thought it was a good match. I like Deonna Purrazzo. She was in NXT years ago, and it was a shame that they let her go. It was a great get for Impact Wrestling to get Deonna. She's a great heel. She's a great technical wrestler. I expect that she probably will drop the ROH Women's Championship to Mercedes Martinez when that time comes, because Deonna is under contract with Impact Wrestling and not Ring of Honor or AEW right now. So I think we're probably going to have a champless Deonna Purrazzo in the future. But Deonna is a former Impact Knockouts champion, and I think she should get that title again. But anyway, good match. I didn't think Taya was going to win. We'll see where this goes. If Taya defends the title on future Impact Television, they're going to be doing television tapings tomorrow night in the same venue there in New York. But anyway, good match overall. Deonna's a good technical wrestler. Those are my thoughts on this. So, Gabby, I'll turn it to you, and you can tell me what you think of Taya Valkyrie coming back and becoming the new AAA Women's World Champion.
So, Deonna Purrazzo tonight defended the AA Reina de Reinas Championship against Taya Valkyrie, of course.
That's better than I did.
But I kind of suspected that they would put the title on her, especially because she just returned to Impact, and this was her first match on Impact since she has returned. So I'm like,
we talked about that.
She's back. They're gonna put the title on her. It was decent. I mean, there was a lot of technical wrestling. I like Deonna Purrazzo's moves more than Taya Valkyrie, but that's okay.
Yeah, Deonna's a good technical wrestler, but we talked about that during the match. You mentioned, you said, I bet there's going to be a title change tonight, because it wouldn't make sense for Taya to come back and then lose,
Yep.
by either by pinfall or disqualification or something. It wouldn't make good booking sense. We talked Gabby, click your link back. Oh, sorry about that, everyone. We're back. We had a little bit of internet difficulties tonight. We are having some challenging weather here in our area, and so we lost our internet. Our apologies for that. We're back. Thank you for your patience. It's very embarrassing. But we'll pick up where we left off with this broadcast, and we'll make a note on the website that we did have some technical difficulties during the stream. Again, we are having some weather issues here in our area, and so we have snow and some winds, and so it caused a little bit of an internet outage. So we do apologize for that, but thank you for your patience in rejoining us again. So we were saying before we got cut off rudely by the weather, and I, Gabby, were talking tonight that Scott D'Amore and the booking team is doing a great job with Impact and booking these matches. They're very entertaining. They're doing a great job. So hats off to Scott D'Amore. I'm sure you're not watching, but anyway, hats off to Scott D'Amore for that. And also, before I forget, I wanted to thank Fight TV for making it possible tonight for us to be able to watch Impact Rebellion, and be able to recap it. So a shout out to Fight TV. You can order the replay off Fight TV for $39.99. If you choose to do so, I would encourage you to get the replay if you haven't done it. It's worth it. Anyway, so moving on. Thumbs up. Good job there. Got a double thumbs up. But those are your Orange Cassidy thumbs up, I guess. Maybe. Anyway, wrong promotion. But so the next match that we're going to talk about tonight was supposed to be on the Countdown show, but it got moved to the main card, which I think was a smart move by Scott D'Amore. It was the X Division triple threat match, and that was Trey Miguel, who is the X Division champion, defending against Speedball Mike Bailey. That guy's crazy. He is crazy. And Ace Austin. And so this was a back and forth match. There was a lot of action. It was hard to keep up with the action because it was all over the place. X Division matches are always all over the place. There's different camera angles constantly. There's one thing going on outside of the ring, maybe inside of the ring. But there was a lot of near falls. We thought that there was a time where Mike Bailey was going to be the new X Division champion. He's new to the company. And then there was times where we thought Trey Miguel was going to retain. We thought there was times where Ace Austin was going to win. He was sneaky, being on the outside of the ring and then coming back in and then going back on the outside of the ring again. So typical heel Ace Austin type stuff. But anyway, Ace Austin ended up going over tonight and winning and becoming a third-time X Division champion. If I was booking the show, I would have put it on Mike Bailey because it's a new, fresh face for the company. But we'll see where it goes. Maybe Mike Bailey is going to be going after Ace Austin, and we'll do the old school booking where there's always money in the chase, so to speak. So Mike Bailey chases after Ace Austin, because there was on Impact Television, there's been some exchanges with Ace Austin and Mike Bailey where they were tag team partners, and Ace said he was coming in to befriend Mike Bailey and train him, yada yada yada, and then Mike kind of turned on him, but it wasn't a heel turn. It was not wanting anything to do with Ace. So I think maybe we'll see a chase in the title. I don't foresee Ace Austin dropping the title at Slammiversary, which is a month early this year. It's usually in July, but Impact announced at the end of the show that they were going to be on pay-per-view again on June the 19th. And so I'll be out of state when that pay-per-view airs. So maybe at Bound for Glory, you talked a lot about that, Gabby, that, this title, may change hands at Bound for Glory. They may do another title change at Bound for Glory because it is their biggest pay-per-view show of the year. I was disappointed. I was hoping Mike Bailey would win it as a new face in the company. But Ace Austin, he's a good heel. He's boring as a heel, but I just contradicted my comment. I mean, he's a good heel. He's a snarky heel. He gets under the skin of the crowd, the fans. But I don't really care much for him, honestly, as a character. So anyway, your thoughts, Gabby, on the X Division Triple Threat?
It was a triple threat.
Yes.
Ace Austin should have lost, and he should have never been in that match. But that's okay.
Yes.
Should have just been a one-on-one between Trey Miguel and Mike Bailey. Really hoping Mike Bailey would win.
Yeah, I was hoping too, but I don't know. There's reasons behind it. Obviously, like I said, maybe there's more money in the chase. Where Mike Bailey's going to chase after Ace Austin.
I think it's getting ready for a feud between them, though.
Well, yeah, because, I mean, besides Trey Miguel, Ace Austin, and Mike Bailey, I really don't know who else you could throw in the mix for the X Division within the company right now. Steve Macklin, I don't see him. Jay White, but I don't think they would put it on Jay White. Chris Sabin, maybe, but he's already been an X Division champion, but so is Ace Austin. So, I mean, now it's for the third time. But I mean, there's some honorable more guys like Mike Bennett, Matt Taven. But from what I understand, from what I'm hearing, is those guys are not signed officially to Impact. They're still kind of on a basis. PCO is the only one that's officially signed to a Impact Wrestling contract, and unless my sources are incorrect in that. But I mean, Rich Swann, he's been an X Division champion. I think even Willie Max held it once. So I really don't know who else you'd put in the mix in that, unless they try to sign more talent for that. But yeah, anyway, be that as it may. Well, Josh Alexander's already been an X Division champion, so I'm glad you brought his name up because I forgot about that. But and so I don't see him being a double champion, and we'll talk about Josh Alexander later. So we move on to the next match, which was Jonah, formerly known as Bronson Reed in NXT. He had a short run as the North American champion in NXT. He took on Tomohiro Ishii, who was actually on Rampage, the taped Rampage episode Friday night, losing to Adam Cole in the Owen Hart qualifying tournament. Owen Hart, the Owen Hart tournament qualifier, and the crowd was booing Jonah quite a bit. They were really behind Tomohiro Ishii, and Jonah had a lot of offense for quite a long time in the match. I mean, he was really Ishii was getting a beat down. I mean, there was a lot of times where I was wondering, is Ishii going to come back, or are they going to just have Jonah dominate this whole match? I mean, Jonah, he can move in the ring. I mean, I saw him a few times in NXT, and he really, they really didn't give him a big push. And then they were, other than the North American Championship, then they release him, and then he's gone. But anyway, towards the end of the match, we did have some streaming issues tonight with Fight TV. There was a little bit of buffering going on, and it stalled a little bit. But thankfully, we had a backup that we were trying to get up and running at the time, which we did. Anyway, after a lot of back and forth towards the end of the match, and a lot of offense from Ishii at the end of the match, the crowd started getting into it. They started cheering for Ishii, booing Jonah like crazy. And surprisingly, Ishii went over. I thought Jonah was going to win the match. But Ishii ended up winning, pinned Jonah, and I think it's Jonah's first loss in Impact Wrestling because they've been booking him as being dominant. And the crowd was behind Ishii, and they actually cheered and went, and they did some "This is awesome" chants during the match. And so, I mean, it was good. It was a good offensive match, but I think around the middle of the match, the crowd was kind of quiet because Jonah kept dominating and dominating and dominating, and I think they were getting bored with that. And they wanted to see some offense with Ishii, and so Ishii won. He went over, which was surprising for me because I mentioned, and I thought Jonah was going to win. So, Gabby, your thoughts on Jonah versus Tomohiro Ishii?
It was a bathroom break match for me.
Bathroom break match for you. Okay. Well, you're not familiar with Tomohiro Ishii because you're not really familiar with New Japan Pro Wrestling. I did it, you weren't really familiar with Jonah. I had explained to you, who he was, being the former Bronson Reed. So, bathroom break match for you. Enough said on that, right? Okay. So we'll move on to the next match, which was that 8-man tag team elimination match. So the winner of that elimination match would go on to face Violent by Design for the Impact World Tag Team Championships. So we saw the teams of which is Matt Cardona and Brian Myers, heel tag team, with their valet manager, more or less valet, I think, and Chelsea Green, which of course we know is Matt Cardona's real life wife, with W. Morrissey, as people may not know who that is, who don't follow Impact. That is the former Big Cass in WWE, with his tag team partner, Jordan Grace, who's a former digital Impact Wrestling digital champion. And those that may not know, Jordan Grace is married to Ring of Honor world champion Gresham. And Gresham was supposed to wrestle tonight on the main card against Eddie Edwards, but the reports are that we're hearing is that Gresham suffered a concussion at the Battle of the Belts taping, the AEW Battle of the Belts taping last Friday night when he defended the ROH title against Dalton Castle. And so the word is that Gresham's out with a concussion. The commentators tonight didn't say concussion. They just said he's unable to compete. He's not medically cleared. And Gresham himself hasn't commented on his injury. But we've got sources that say it was a concussion. It was a botched move by Castle in the ring. But be that as it may, W. Morrissey, Jordan Grace ended up being eliminated. And then they were angry. There was some back and forth stuff outside of the ring after they got eliminated as thumbs down, where it was funny. Chelsea Green low-blowed William Morrissey, and he didn't sell it. He just got mad, did that mad face. He picks up Chelsea Green way over his head, and he slams her through a table, and the table breaks. I mean, he slammed her hard. I mean, she went through that thing hard. That thing busted way in half. And then, Matt Cardona and Brian Myers got a check on her, and the camera angle's kind of up, and Matt Cardona was doing the X. He's doing the X like this, and I think it was part of the storyline. I don't think she was seriously hurt, because what happened is after that, the Good Brothers come out, and they ended up tossing a distracted Cardona in the ring, hit him with the Magic Killer, and then 1, 2, 3, they're eliminated. Brian Myers and Matt Cardona's eliminated. And then, so the next team that comes out is Willie Mack and Rich Swann. They come out, and they end up maybe about a 10-minute match or so. I think it was about 10 minutes. And there was a lot of offense back and forth from Swann and Mack, a couple near falls. and then the Good Brothers ended up getting a Magic Killer back and pinned him 1, 2, 3. So they're out. And then after Mac and Swan go out, we have Johnny Swinger and Zicky Dice come in, and that was a quick match. Zicky had a little bit of offense. He ends up trying to go after Doc Gallows. Gallows ducks, and Zicky hits Swinger by accident, knocks him off the ring apron, and then guess what happens? The Good Brothers hit the Magic Killer, just like that. Swinger and Zicky, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, they're out. And then next comes out the Honor No More faction. And so what happened is it was Mike Bennett and Matt Taven. The action started on the outside of the ring on the floor, and then it was Matt Taven had Carl Anderson down after he hit Anderson, and Maria Kanellis, being sneaky that she is, I love her heel character. I've always liked her heel character. She ends up holding Anderson's foot, and then Taven, ref wasn't looking because he didn't see the distraction, and then with Kanellis, Maria Kanellis holding down Anderson's foot, guess what happens? 1, 2, 3, the Good Brothers are eliminated. And then the action continues on the outside of the ring a little bit there, as we have an angry Good Brothers that go after Honor No More. And so the next team that comes out is Rhino and Heath. Heath Miller, the former Heath Slater from WWE. I got kids. So he and Rhino come out, and I thought that Mike Bennett and Matt Taven were gonna win because they've been giving Honor No More a push. As this dominant takeover faction of Impact Wrestling, kind of like what the NWO was to WCW back in the 1990s. And so, much to my surprise, Heath and Rhino went over, and they ended up eliminating Matt Taven and Mike Bennett, who I think mesh really well as a tag team. I like them as the Kingdom in Ring of Honor. I think one day they may end up being Impact World Tag Team Champions if they're indeed signed to Impact Wrestling. But be that as it may, after a lot of back and forth action, some near falls, yeah, you're giving it away, Gabby. Violent by Design, Eric Young, and Joe Doring retain. Overall, this was a fun elimination match. I enjoyed the action. I enjoyed the near falls. For now, the right team went over. You've got Mike Bennett and Matt Taven as heels. And so I don't think heels versus heels in this case made sense. Unless Violent by Design one day turns into baby faces and Mike Bennett and Matt Taven go as baby faces or stay as heels, because I can't see them being baby faces. Although they were at one point, and they weren't that good as baby faces. I like them better as heels. But anyway, Violent by Design retains. Good action, good match. Maybe a title change, as you mentioned, Gabby, by Bound for Glory, because Impact didn't advertise it tonight, but it's on their Twitter that a certain tag team that were former Ring of Honor World Tag Team Champions that have appeared on Impact. Their tag team name starts with a B, and they're going to be at the Impact Television tapings tomorrow night at the same venue in New York. So maybe that certain tag team will end up signing with Impact, and maybe they'll dethrone Violent by Design at, say, I can't see it being at Slammiversary, it's too soon, but I could maybe see Bound for Glory. Anyway, your thoughts, Gabby, on this match as you've done these thumbs down and all this kind of stuff. So what your thoughts?
Yes. Yes. Yes.
What are you doing? It's wrong company, wrong gimmick. So your thoughts on the Violent by Design retaining?
Okay, the first 4 elimination matches were bathroom break matches because the Good Brothers just kept winning and then winning and winning. And I'm like, just get eliminated already.
Yeah, they're kind of overrated, in my opinion.
They're overrated, and then once they got eliminated, things started moving, and I'm like, oh yeah, just take the good. If you guys just didn't do the Good Brothers, it would have been a great match.
Yeah. All right.
But I give it.
So I mean, you like Violent by Design, I think. So you gave that match a thumbs up? Okay, that's good. Because yeah, I mean, so. Okay, kind of in between. Yeah, I mean, all the matches tonight, I gave a thumbs up. I mean, every all the women, all the men worked really hard. The crowd was hot all night. There was a lot of "This is awesome" chants. There, with the exception of the Jonah Ishii match, where they were quiet for a portion of that match. They were loud all night. They were hot all night. It's New York. They were crazy. So it was good. I mean, it was good. So now we move on to Tasha Steelz defending the Impact Knockouts Championship against Rosemary. And Tasha Steelz is, I mean, well, I'm not fond of her. I'm not really fond of the way she looked tonight with that face paint. She had that tiger face paint thing going on. I mean, she's a good worker in the ring. She's a good heel. She gets under your skin. We saw that tonight in her backstage promo. She's a kind of heel that you want to kind of reach into the TV and just grab and choke. To be honest, I mean, she's good at that. She's a good talker on the mic. I think she's a really good talker on the mic. She's had a good run with the title. And Rosemary's been the Knockouts champion before. There was a lot of near falls in this match. I thought Rosemary was going to go over. Rosemary did really good tonight in her moves. Tasha did good getting under the skin of the fans. There were some distractions where Havoc was on the outside of the ring. Tasha comes down. Havoc lays her hands on Steelz. The ref tosses out Havoc. And then, excuse me, and then we've had in the course of the match, Savannah Evans, who's kind of the lackey for Steelz, so to speak. She comes out while the ref's distracted and takes out Rosemary. And then we thought that Rosemary was going to get pinned and go, and lose, but she ended up kicking out. Steelz comes back and puts her in what's called the blackout. That was her finishing move. Rosemary kicks out. So another great near fall. But then at the end, with another distraction with Evans, it was just too much. Rosemary ended up getting pinned. Steelz goes over. But as we talked about, maybe either at Slammiversary, Steelz loses the title to maybe someone else, or maybe at Bound for Glory. I don't know if Deonna Purrazzo is going to turn babyface and go after Steelz. I think Mickie James is out of, out of the title picture right now. I don't see her coming back again and trying to dethrone Steelz. I don't know what other women, maybe Taya Valkyrie. I mean, she was the longest reigning Knockouts champion, so maybe Taya Valkyrie goes after the title and she's a double champion with the AAA women's title and the Knockouts title. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see because, again, Impact is taping television tomorrow, so we'll start seeing new feuds develop that will lead into matches for Slammiversary, the build up to Slammiversary, and then probably carry on after that to Bound for Glory. But they're doing this Under Siege Impact Plus, YouTube Insiders pay-per-view on May 7th called, again, Under Siege, but I think that's probably going to be taped ahead of time. I don't see that being live. But anyway, I don't see title changes at that show. I see them happening either at Slammiversary or Bound for Glory. So your thoughts, Gabby, on Tasha Steelz versus Rosemary, with Steelz going over and retaining?
I was really hoping that Rosemary would win and Steelz would lose. I hate Tasha Steelz. She's a good wrestler, but I just hate her.
Now, you hate the character. And her character, as I said, gets under your skin.
I hate her
but
character.
That's okay.
She's a good wrestler, but I just hate her character.
Yeah, I think she's a good athlete. I agree. She moves well in the ring. She's very athletic, and so I agree with you on that. So as we move on to the final match of the night, this was 6 months in the making. The crowd was absolutely bonkers for this match. There was back and forth chants. It's Josh Alexander challenging Moose for the Impact World title. It was great to see at the introduction, Josh Alexander comes out to the ring. He has his son with him, and the son in the same ring gear. He's got the same headpiece on. He's got the mouth guard in. It was great. I loved it. It was great. And one thing I'm going to say, or a few things I'm going to say before we get into the match, is Impact this was 6 months worth of excellent television. This was 6 months in the making. There was a lot of realism in it. They brought a lot of realism into the storyline. We saw Moose go to Josh Alexander's house. We saw at an independent event that made viral on YouTube and Twitter, where Moose ended up spearing Josh Alexander's wife, which I thought was excellent. An excellent way to build this matchup and to build this feud up. Again, my hats off. Kudos to Scott D'Amore and the booking team. This brought in realism. It's old school booking. I loved this feud and the way they booked it, because it was just, Moose got under your skin. Both men did excellent jobs in building up this match. There was back and forth chants all night. There was, Walking Weapon, Walking Weapon is Josh Alexander's kind of this nickname. And so there was Walking Weapon, Moose chants, back and forth during this match. And then right around the middle of the match, it was, Walking Weapon, and then Moose, and then Sucks. So those chants came. There was a lot of near falls, back and forth near falls. Both men put on an excellent physical match. There was a lot of physicality in this match. Alexander was great in the near falls. He was believable when he took his headgear off and he tossed it. Moose was believable. We expected, though, that Moose would lose the title because he's had a shoulder injury. And Moose did mention that he was going to need some time off to get surgery for his shoulder and then, of course, heal. So I expect that Moose is going to be at the television tapings, maybe do a face turn at the television tapings. I don't know. Or we won't see Moose at the television tapings, and he'll be out for the next several months to let the shoulder heal, and then he'll come back maybe either as a baby face or he'll stay as a heel. He's great as a heel. He was in Ring of Honor as a baby face. He was awful. But as a heel, Moose has been a great heel. And he's been booked really well as a heel. So anyway, Josh Alexander is your new Impact World champion. At the end of the match, Alexander's son and wife came into the ring. Moose was out of the ring completely. And so he let Alexander have his moment. Family celebrates. The wife of Alexander's wife puts the belt around Alexander. The crowd goes absolutely bonkers after that 1, 2, 3 count. They go bonkers in the ring. They go bonkers when Alexander gets the title put on his waist in the ring by his wife. And at that point, they gave a quick plug for Slammiversary, and then the show went off the air. So it was almost a 3-hour pay-per-view. It was 2 hours and 53 minutes, which I think is a great length of time for a pay-per-view. Under 3 hours, I think is great. So this, for me, this was the match of the night. My second favorite match of the night was the 8-man elimination tag team match. And then I enjoyed the Deonna Purrazzo Ty Valkyrie match. Deonna is a great technical wrestler. I hope they keep her as a heel. I like the Virtuosa character. And so that was my overall great pay-per-view. Impact really put on a good show. The venue was sold out. I think I mentioned that at the beginning of the show. I did mention that in the recap. It was a sold-out crowd at the old, it's called the MJN Convention Center. It's the old Mid-Hudson Civic Center that WWF at the time went to. The venue is set up for 3,000 to 50 people. We don't know, though, how many people were in attendance at the pay-per-view because they did mention it was earlier in the day it was sold out. But when we saw the venue, you could definitely see it was packed. The lighting was okay. You could see the main front areas of the fans, but the backside of the venue, you couldn't quite see the crowd. It was a bit dark. I think they did that on purpose to focus the lighting on the ring. But if you have a sold-out venue, my thing is, why don't you just light the whole place up? That way you see all the fans in attendance. It looks better on television that way. That's just my opinion. What do I know? I mean, I know WCW used to do it. WWFE used to do it when they would sell out venues with, you could see then the place lit up. So anyway, I'm rabbit trailing. Gabby, your thoughts on the Josh Alexander Moose match, and then I'll ask you your thoughts on the whole pay-per-view.
I liked all the near falls and all the crazy action that was within said match. I liked how they were getting physical and how apparently Moose was taunting Josh Alexander's wife, classic heel stuff. And then
yes, he did that during the match too. And at ringside, he taunted his wife. Great classic heel stuff. I agree.
And then I liked it when Josh Alexander got the title because he deserves the title.
Yeah.
It was the match.
Yeah,
it was a good match of the night for me. Maybe even the match of 2022 for me.
Okay, that's fair. That's fair. I mean, I can see that. There was great physicality.
That was my favorite match out of all of them.
Yeah, there was great physicality all night. I mean, there was times where, I mean, there was some huge chops back and forth. I mean, there was backhanded chops that Moose was doing on Josh Alexander, which, I mean, I was like, oh my gosh. I mean, you could hear the slaps and the crowd was like, oh, I mean, it was, yeah. I mean, because usually you do the chop where you do the palm of the hand, but Moose was doing backhanded chops on Alexander and his chest was red. I mean, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's crazy. But I mean, the realism, I mean, they were bringing realism into it, which again is great booking, I thought. And overall, it was a great match. Overall, the whole pay-per-view overall was a thumbs up for me. I really enjoyed it. It kept my attention all night. And so it was good. I mean, it was very good. So thumbs up for me. And I see thumbs up for you too, Gabby. All right. Well, we're going to wrap up the show tonight. For those of you that were watching with us live, thank you for joining us. Those of you that end up watching on the delay, thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe to the Wrestleview YouTube channel. We appreciate that. Thank you for those of you that stuck around during our slight technical difficulties when we lost our internet connection due to the weather we're having here with some snow and wind. Yes, it's snowy and windy in April for us. And so we do appreciate that for you that were patient with us. And so, again, thank you for joining us. Again, like and subscribe to our Wrestleview YouTube channel. Be sure to check out our other YouTube post shows. Mike and Victoria Tedesco do post Raw on Mondays live, following Monday Night Raw. And Roy Nemmer, when he can, he's our great SmackDown recapper. He's been on vacation, so I've been having to do the SmackDown recap for him, which has been great. I've enjoyed it. Roy does the live post show for SmackDown when he can. After that show ends on Friday nights. And then we have other post shows that we're planning on in the future. With more than likely the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view coming up next month, May 28th, and then June 26th. We've got the Forbidden Door, which we assume will be a pay-per-view, of course. That's the AEW New Japan Pro Wrestling event. And so those are some things that are coming up. And be sure to check out our website, Wrestleview.com, for all of the latest wrestling news. There's a column up there right now from Josh Boutwell, who is our AEW Dynamite recapper. He's got an interesting column about AEW and his thoughts. Be sure you check that out. He's got some very interesting points on that. And other than that, everyone have a wonderful night as it's approaching midnight on the East Coast for East Coasters. And so for Gabby, I'm Jerome Wilen. I'm the main reporter for Wrestleview.com and appreciate having Gabby on with me. Yes, Quentin Walters just popped in, said please like and subscribe, share this podcast, or else Gabby will speak her mind. Thanks, Quentin. I love Quentin. He's great. So we're going to wrap it up tonight. Again, we appreciate those of you that have joined us and joined us through the technical difficulties that we had when we were temporarily off for just a few moments. So anyway, everyone have a wonderful night, and we'll see you next time.